Hi everyone. Now today we're exploring Pressing's idea of improvisation as being an ordered sequence of musical event clusters, which are moderated by current goals and previous events. So he talks about two typical strategies musicians use to decide how to progress or advance on an improvisation. So during a performance, when a musician has repeated a particular sequence to a point where habituation has become high, one strategy is to use associative generation, where they introduce an idea that is similar or contrasting to the previous musical event. So if we look down the left-hand side of the page here, we can see four musical sequences or event clusters that are quite similar to each other or contrasting in their order of note groupings. If we were to play one of these sequences repetitively, at some point we might choose to switch to one of these other sequences to add some variation. Here we'd be generating ideas that are associated with the previous sequence. If, on the other hand, we wanted to deviate completely from the previous sequence or interrupt it with a new idea, we might introduce one of these sequences on the right-hand side that's unrelated to the previous events. We call this interrupt generation. So let's go through each pattern together. And for now, we're going to ignore the melody and simply clap the rhythms together. And don't worry if you don't read music notation. Just follow along as best you can. So we take number 1. We're in 4/4 time. So we have 1, 2, and 3, 4. Number 2, nice and simple. Let's clap that out. 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Okay, now we're going to look at number 3. We've got 1 and 2, 3, 4, and. And now number 4, we count that as 1 and 2, 3, 4. Now let's take a look at the rhythms on the right. These do look a little more complex if you're a non-music student, but we'll break them down together. So we can see this first rhythm contains a dotted note. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with this, a dotted note increases the duration of the basic note by half. So a dotted eighth note, or quaver, has a value of 1.5 quavers, or a quaver plus a semiquaver. And when we combine this dotted note with the semiquaver after it, which is the equivalent to 1 beat, the long and short note creates a gallop type feel, just like this. So let's have a little go at this one. We've got 1, a 2, 3, a 4, and. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4. So moving on to the next rhythm, we can see we have 2 lots of 4 semiquavers, and these are played quite quickly, and they're the equivalent to 1 beat. Let's hear it. 1 E and a 2, 3 E and a 4, and. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. This third rhythm has a rest note to the value of a quaver, or eighth note. So here we take a short pause between the previous and the next note. So it sounds like this. 1, a 2, and 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And on to the last rhythm. We've got another quaver rest in there and also some quick semiquavers at the end. So we have 1, 2, and 3, 4 E and a. Let's give that one a go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm going to quickly demonstrate these two different strategies for you, this time using two different pitches. I'm going to play just the first rhythm on the djembe and keep that going. Then I'm going to join in with the marimba, playing the notes as they're written, so just the C and the G. And after a short time, I'll switch to a different but similar sequence on the associative generation side. Sometime after that, I'll switch to one of the rhythms on the interrupt side, and then back to the original sequence. We will be doing this as a group in a minute, but feel free to join me if you like a quick practice run. Here we go. A 1, 2, 3, 4. So now it's over to you. And that was a very quick example, but I'm going to give you guys a little bit longer to habituate to each rhythm before switching. Again, I'm going to repeat just the first rhythm on the left on the drums so you have a reference point. And I want you to start with me on that. And then once you feel you've repeated this enough and habituation has become high, I want you to choose either of the two strategies by switching to one of the rhythms on the left or the right, and then back again when you feel ready. Now, feel free to try out a few and switch back and forth if you want to, or you can just choose one or two. And if you'd like, you can play a pitched instrument and follow the melodies. So there's just two notes, C and G, or a percussive instrument that creates a low and high sound. Or if you just want to clap or play the rhythms and ignore the melody, that's completely fine. So here we go. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Excellent work. You nailed it. This activity was to demonstrate how, when we improvise, we're drawing on our knowledge of past musical events that are stored in our long-term memory and retrieving them to express how we feel in the moment. So every novel idea we have is based on our memories of what we already know, even if we don't realize it. Thanks for playing.